By now, you've probably heard that FastAPI is great. It's fast, it's async, it has type hints. Cool, we get it. We've seen all the headlines, but here's the thing that no one's really talking about. It's the fact that FastAPI isn't just another Python web framework. It's a mindset shift. It changes how you approach backend development, how you organize your logic, and how you can structure your data and product to flow well. And honestly, it helps you grow as a developer. I'm not exaggerating when I say FastAPI quietly levels you up, even if you're not aware that it's happening. So in this video, I want to break down 5 reasons why Python developers are moving away from traditional frameworks and instead using FastAPI. If you're new to the channel, I'm Eric Roby, a software engineer with over a decade of experience, and I've helped over 100,000 developers learn and grow within their craft. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So I'm just going to kick it off with reason 1 is that FastAPI can make you accidentally learn domain-driven design, also known as DDD. And let's be honest, nobody wakes up in the morning excited to implement domain-driven design. If you aren't familiar with domain-driven design, it means you're going to model your backend application perfectly with whatever the domain is that you're building. So you can kind of think of like fintech, banking, insurance, whatever it is. So in this example, all 3 of these are the domains that we're trying to model. But when you build a FastAPI app, domain-driven design just kind of happens. You create a Pydantic model that defines your request and response DTOs, and those models, they mirror your business logic. You're not just tossing dictionaries around like how people kind of think Python developers are. You're thinking in terms of the user, you're thinking in terms of like the invoice that the user might need, the cart items, the product reviews if we're dealing with an e-commerce store. This is all part of the domain modeling. That's DDD without any kind of thinking or a headache. You're starting to build your API around the concepts your application actually cares about. It's really cool. It doesn't care about just raw inputs and outputs. It cares about the models that you create. That's where Pydantic modeling is so awesome. It forces clarity, it forces validation, and ultimately it makes the code cleaner and more disciplined. And the cleaner and more disciplined part is what brings me to step number 2. And that's that FastAPI can automate the boring stuff. So let's talk about the exhausting items that developers run into all the time. An exhausting item 1 is like manually validating request payloads, maybe parsing query strings, maintaining documentation, writing error messages, and dealing with the middleware stuff. All of this is kind of known as glue work. It's the stuff that slows you down when you just want to build your application. Now, you can't remove all of these items, right? It would be so awesome if we could just remove everything inside of here. But FastAPI tries to. It validates inputs on the fly, it generates Swagger documents, it parses query params, and it produces clean, consistent error messages. And one of my favorite bonuses is that it does it all live every time your code is updated. When I first started development, I lost an entire day trying to update API documents to match the current version that's in the code and not mess around with like V3 because we were on V2 of the versioning, and I messed up and it cost me like an entire day. That whole day would have been saved if we had Swagger and automated documents implemented. But now let's talk about reason number 3 is that it teaches you clean architecture without really trying to learn clean architecture. And it just kind of makes you a better dev. Here's a secret most devs don't talk about when they're talking about clean architecture. And it's the fact that you don't just usually sit down and learn software architecture. You usually learn software architecture due to the product that you're currently on, or until something breaks and you have to figure out like a new architecture to save the day. You usually start small, you have like one route, one model, a couple of helper methods, then you get to 4 routes, then you get to, multiple files, and you have multiple models, and it's hard to try and keep everything wrapped together because of all these integrated helper methods and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, if you keep going at it, like 6 weeks later, you're going to have like a tangled application that's hard to find where the business logic and everything is even happening. And that's where FastAPI comes in and tries to save the day. You start using depends and realize, oh, that's dependency injection. You move logic out of your route handlers and into service utilities. You reuse models across different layers and start seeing patterns. And before you know it, you've got separation of concerns. You got testable components, swappable dependencies. That is when you're like, heck yeah, I can build literally anything. And my light bulb moment was when I was first running my first unit test for a route handler without spinning up a full database. I was like, oh my goodness, I accidentally built something modular and clean, and this all happened by default. And it was really, really powerful stuff. Now, reason number 4 is that it's the backend framework for the AI era. Let's zoom out for a second. In the last year, we've seen the explosion of LangChain and Pydantic AI, OpenAI function calls, RAG pipelines, vector search, MCPs, and all of that great stuff. But you know what the most popular backend was for all of this? You got it. FastAPI. And it's not because it's trendy, it's more because it fits the job. And that's why people love it so much. It gives you structured, validated input. Async lets you hit the OpenAI or, external APIs in parallel without blocking. And it just allows you to be able to make all these LLM calls asynchronous. Everything just works so well out of the box. So if you're building anything AI related, whether it's a solo side project or for an enterprise, FastAPI is a great choice for that. And that kind of brings me to the last reason, and that's the fact that FastAPI is async first. With FastAPI, from your very first route, you're encouraged to write async functions, which means you can fetch multiple data sources at once. You can run non-blocking background tasks. You can build super responsive APIs even under load. And it's not that hard. It's pretty straightforward. You don't need to spin up weird event loops or deal with any kind of threading. You just write async defs and await, and it works. So yes, FastAPI is fast, but that's not why people switch to using FastAPI. Once you start using it, truly start using it, it's hard to go back. You're no longer fighting tools. You're just building. And building is literally the only thing devs really want to do. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.